A lifelong West Michigan resident whose battle with cancer nearly took his life has an ex-president to thank.
Steve Paul was digging into his past only to find out a device that saved his life wouldn't have been in Grand Rapids if it weren't for the work of U.S. Navy Lieutenant Jimmy Carter.
President Carter was involved in something that dramatically affected my life and a lot of other people in West Michigan.
Steve Paul and his wife Beth spend a lot of time researching their family's past and documenting what they find so their family will have it after they're gone.
The world is what it is, and there's people that have made the world what it is, and there's people that have done good in the world. And to pass that heritage on to people and the knowledge of what people have done like that, I think it's important just to recognize them.
Steve has found a lot of people he'd like to thank and recognize. After all, they helped save his life.
My left kidney was basically pretty much a large encapsulated tumor that they decided if they disturbed it, it would break it open, it would metastasize.
Shortly after his birth in 1960, doctors found a Wilms tumor inside his body. His parents were told Steve had only 3 days to live.
They talked about this unit, the cobalt unit that they had, and they had never used it on an infant locally. They may have somewhere else, but not locally.
I'm very familiar with what sounds like the treatment this patient had, although things have changed quite significantly, as you might imagine, since 1960s.
Dr. Spencer Kirkland is a radiation oncologist with Corewell Health.
Cobalt is a radioactive isotope, and it emits radiation. It slowly decays over time.
Back in 1960, it was key to saving Steve's life, and it turns out one of the people responsible for it being in Butterworth Hospital in Grand Rapids was future President Jimmy Carter. During World War II, there was a nuclear reactor in Canada. There was an accident and it was damaged. The Navy sent a team, including Carter, to get the reactor stabilized and repaired.
President Carter and the team got that going just in time to get that material ready to be put in that treatment machine in Grand Rapids. So a lot of people in West Michigan benefited from that in the next few years, which would not have been able to had they not got that running.
The right place at the right time. That treatment saved Steve's life. The machine that was housed deep below Butterworth Hospital hasn't been used in decades. Dr. Kirkland says the technology is still used in underdeveloped and third world countries.
It's still a very effective treatment that's used worldwide, but modern radiation treatment in the United States now is done with a different source or producer of radiation treatment.
Wanting to thank those who played a role in saving his life all those years ago, Steve set out to find anyone from that mission who might still be alive.
Carter was the oldest living person last summer in 2022 that I had identified.
Steve reached out to the former president's people with the goal of simply sending a one-page letter of thanks.
This person said to me, send it to the correspondence department and we will get it to him. She made it sound like this was very important that he got that.
Several weeks later, Steve received something special in the mail,
indicating that he had received it and so forth. So it was kind of a nice to be able to communicate that to him.
A special piece of Steve's history that he can pass down to his grandkids.
There's a lot of other people involved in that reactor in Canada getting it going. President Carter just gets to be kind of the symbol of it.
That's what you get when you look into your past and start thanking the people who've made your life what it is.
What a powerful story.
Yeah,
Great
really cool.
impact. Yeah. Thanks.